The cafeteria at Crestwood Academy pulsed with noise, laughter, trays clattering, the clink of silver against porcelain plates polished enough to show reflections. Lunchtime was a kingdom with invisible thrones, every table ruled by laughter loud enough to cover insecurity. Then, in one fractured second, that easy rhythm shattered. Crash! A stainless steel tray slammed onto the floor, ricocheting off tile, echoing through marble-lined walls. Mashed potatoes splattered like paint across white sneakers. A paper cup spun in a wild circle before collapsing, bleeding orange soda into a perfect sunburst. 10-year-old Ethan Whitmore froze mid-step. His heart thudded somewhere behind his ribs, irregular and panicked. One shoe slid, his leg brace scraped the tile with a metallic screech. He reached instinctively for balance, but the world tilted the wrong way. A hand shot out, not to help, but to take. The tall boy beside him, Jason Miller, snatched Ethan's aluminum crutch and lifted it high like a trophy. "Careful, limp boy." The words were a dart, quick, cruel, perfectly aimed. Laughter erupted in waves, feeding itself, students banging tables to the rhythm. Someone whistled. Another voice mimicked a limp, dragging one foot across the floor like theater. Phones rose in unison, tiny red lights blinking like a constellation of judgment. Ethan's fingers clawed at empty air. Without the crutch his body wobbled, he grabbed the edge of the lunch counter for support. Metal bit into his palm. The laughter swelled, an orchestra of mockery, and under it, he heard it clearly, the low digital chime of camera apps starting to record. "Yo, get this. Billionaire baby can't even stand." Someone shouted it from the back, and the phrase stuck. Voices repeated it, distorted by reverb and teenage cruelty. "Billionaire baby. Billionaire baby." The chant mutated into rhythm, trays beat like drums. "Fight. Fight. Fight." The sound hit him in waves, every syllable a shove he didn't see coming. Ethan's knuckles whitened. His knee trembled beneath the brace. He wanted to disappear, to fall through the shining floor that reflected his humiliation back at him. Jason leaned down, grinned sharp, cologne heavy with expensive bravado. "What's wrong, Prince Moneybags? Need Daddy's helicopter to pick you up?" The crowd howled. The phone lenses zoomed closer. Every second became content. Ethan's breath shortened. He'd been here before, different jokes, same sting. He tasted iron and shame at the back of his throat. The cafeteria's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, bleaching every color into cold white. He blinked hard, willing the tears not to fall, but one escaped anyway, tracing a slow silver path down his cheek. Behind him, a chair toppled as someone climbed for a better view. Plastic cups rolled. Fries skittered underfoot. The air smelled of ketchup, fear, and fried oil. He heard the voice of his mother, faint, like memory wrapped in static. "The stars don't care how fast you walk, Ethan. They shine for you anyway." But there were no stars here, only screens. Jason twirled the crutch, balancing it on his finger like a showman. "Maybe I should auction this. One-of-a-kind billionaire baby accessory." The table next to him erupted. Even kids who looked uneasy laughed, afraid not to. Ethan stared at them, at every face turned away when his eyes met theirs. A sea of permission hiding behind amusement. The chant rose again, louder, meaner. "Fight! Fight! Fight!" Jason's friend Connor mimed a boxing stance. Another boy made camera frame gestures with his fingers. "Angle him up, bro, this is going viral." Ethan's chest tightened, the air thickened. He wanted to crawl under the table, but pride anchored his feet. If he fell, they'd never stop laughing. If he spoke, they'd mock his voice for shaking. There was no right move, only smaller humiliations waiting to happen. He reached for the crutch again. Jason lifted it higher, just out of reach. The metal gleamed under the cafeteria lights, spinning like the hand of a cruel clock. The moment stretched, every sound too loud, every color too sharp. The laughter became a blur, the faces blending into one mocking mass. For a heartbeat, Ethan almost wished he could scream, or swing, or do anything but stand there shaking. Then came silence, not from mercy, but from anticipation. The chant had become a hum, waiting for a climax. Even the cashiers froze mid-swipe, eyes darting between the boys. A drone of cafeteria noise hung in the air, cut through by Jason's sneer. "Come on, Prince. Show us those billion-dollar reflexes." He took a half-step forward, shadow stretching across Ethan's sneakers. The lens lights brightened. The crowd leaned in. Someone whispered, "He's gonna cry." Ethan's throat closed. Another tear slipped free, landing on the floor and mixing with spilled soda. The reflection in the orange puddle showed his own face, eyes red, lips pressed tight, a boy too small inside a name too big. The camera pans across the room, students frozen between guilt and thrill. No teacher in sight. Just noise, glass, and cruelty. Ethan's hand trembles mid-air, fingers inches from the crutch he can't reclaim. Jason's grin widens. The chant builds again, lower this time, primal. Fight. 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 And in that endless circle of noise and humiliation, time holds its breath, just long enough for the story's heartbeat to shift toward whoever will finally break the pattern. At the far corner of the cafeteria, away from the noise and privilege, Amara Johnson sat at the table everyone pretended not to see. Her lunch sat neatly arranged, white rice and a scoop of beans in a plastic container her mother had used for years. A chipped water bottle stood beside it, the label peeled away from too many refills. She ate slowly, rhythmically, as if every bite was a small act of meditation. Around her, the air buzzed with laughter and phone notifications, but her world was still. The scrape of spoons, the chatter of voices, all of it faded beneath the calm hum of her breathing. She'd learned early that stillness was power, that quiet could be sharper than noise. When the tray crashed, Amara didn't flinch. Her fork paused midair, a single grain of rice balancing on its tip. Her dark eyes lifted toward the sound, past the clatter, the laughter, the circle of students crowding near the center. She saw the boy, Ethan, trembling, off balance, his crutch gone. She recognized the look in his eyes before the first insult even landed. Fear. Familiar. Old. Her classmates at the next table whispered, half giggling, half nervous. "That's Whitmore's kid. The one with the leg thing. He should have just stayed home." Their words hit the air like small stones. Amara set down her fork gently. No reaction. No glare. Just quiet observation. The kind of silence that made others uncomfortable. Jason Miller's laughter rolled across the room. It was the kind of laugh that expected agreement, loud, contagious, confident in its audience. Amara watched the phones rise higher, watched Ethan's shoulders curl in. She'd seen this scene before in different forms, a cornered kid, a crowd too entertained to care. She felt it again, the tightening just beneath her ribs. Her father used to call it the warning before the storm. Not anger. Alignment. The moment before a decision. Ethan's crutch flashed in the air, silver under the fluorescent light. The chant began to build. Fight. 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 Amara's gaze didn't waver. She studied Jason's stance, weight on his right leg, overconfident. Connor, behind him, already recording. Bryce, laughing but keeping distance in case the teachers appeared. Every movement catalogued, measured. Discipline wrapped in stillness. She exhaled slowly. The cafeteria felt smaller now, sound tightening around her like a rope. A dropped spoon clinked somewhere near the soda fountain, sharp and lonely. No one noticed. Inside, her pulse was steady. Her father's voice drifted through memory, quiet and precise. When you see the weak cornered, Amara, breathe first. Never move from anger. Move from purpose. She looked back to her lunch. The beans had gone cold. Around her, laughter echoed. One of Jason's friends mimed Ethan's limp, dragging his foot dramatically. The crowd shrieked. A girl behind Amara whispered, "She's really not going to do anything." Amara didn't answer. Her gaze slid toward Ethan again. His hand was shaking as he tried to reach the crutch. His lip quivered. Another tear. A red recording light blinked across his face. And in that single reflection, humiliation magnified through a screen, Amara saw something she couldn't ignore. A memory she tried to leave in the dojo years ago. Another child crying, another crowd laughing, her own father's hand resting gently on her shoulder saying, "Strength protects, Amara. Always protects." A soft breath left her lips. Her chair creaked as she pushed it back. The sound was small but cut clean through the noise. Her classmates turned. "Where's she going?" someone murmured. "Oh no, she's not." Amara stood, straightening her back until her small frame felt taller. The light caught the faint white patch on the knuckle of her right hand, a scar from years of martial arts practice, invisible to everyone except her. Her eyes locked on the scene across the room. Jason's grin, Ethan's fear, the phone's recording. Her expression didn't change, but her decision was already made. She picked up her chopsticks, almost absent-mindedly, and began to walk. One step, then another, slow, deliberate, unhurried. The crowd didn't see her yet. The camera of the moment was still on Ethan. But the story was already shifting. The quiet girl had moved. And nothing in that glittering cafeteria would ever be the same again. The camera slows. Sound fades to a soft hum, the echoes of laughter now distant, hollow, almost unreal. In that quiet pocket between noise and action, the narrator's voice slides in, low, steady, deliberate. This is where arrogance meets discipline. And silence teaches the loudest lesson. The line hangs in the air, like breath before thunder. The camera pans over the cafeteria. The shiny floors, the gold-trimmed tables, the students in branded jackets who think wealth is protection. Then, it stops on the corner where Amara's half-eaten lunch sits untouched, steam fading from the rice. Every room has noise, the kind that demands to be heard. But once in a while, someone stands who doesn't need it. Amara walks with that stillness now. Her face unreadable. Her posture calm, no rush, no flinch, no visible fear. The bullies haven't noticed her yet. Neither have the teachers, nor the sea of students clutching their phones like shields. The narrator continues, a heartbeat beneath her movement. We tell our children that courage roars. That strength comes with fists or fame. But sometimes, courage walks softly. And changes everything by simply refusing to look away. Cut to Ethan, his lip trembling, his fingers still reaching for the crutch that isn't there. The red light from Jason's phone camera reflects in his tears like a laser mark, the symbol of public shame. And what happens when power meets grace? When cruelty faces calm? When the loudest boys in the room realize that silence isn't surrender? For a second, the music underneath swells, low strings, a single piano note pulsing with heartbeat tempo. Amara's shoes tap lightly on the tile. Jason's voice still carries, arrogant and cruel. The narrator's final line settles like a verdict. In every story of injustice, there's someone who watches first. Not because they're afraid to act, but because they're waiting for the right moment to teach the room what strength really means. Then the hum of the cafeteria rushes back in, laughter, movement, chaos. But something has shifted. The noise doesn't sound as strong anymore. Floor-to-ceiling glass windows pour the city skyline into the room. Everything gleams, steel, crystal, the blue glow of screens. But beneath all that shine, the space hums with absence. You could almost hear the quiet breathe. 10-year-old Ethan Whitmore sits on a sofa too large for him, one leg braced in metal and carbon fiber. A homework tablet glows beside an untouched plate of pasta. The only other sound is the faint tick of a wall clock that cost more than a teacher's salary. Across the room, Richard Whitmore, his father, CEO, boardroom giant, headline magnate, talks through a wireless headset. Yes, finalize it. No, tell Tokyo I'll review the merger tonight. He paces between glass walls, a man stitched into his schedule. His son might as well be another line item on the day's agenda. Ethan glances up. Dad? Richard half turns. Give me 2 minutes. 2 minutes stretch into 20. The boy looks down at his reflection in the polished marble floor. He can see his brace, the way it gleams even in the dim light. He remembers when it used to scare him, when kids whispered that he was part robot. Now he just tries not to limp loudly. His mother's voice drifts back from memory, soft as a lullaby. The stars don't care how fast you walk, Ethan. They shine for you anyway. He imagines her there, sitting at the piano in the corner, where no one has played since she died. Cancer took her quietly, like the end of a song. The last time he heard her voice, she was whispering stories about constellations, heroes drawn in light. Ethan presses his fingers against the cold window pane and looks at the city lights. From up here, they look like stars that fell to earth, close enough to touch but never truly his. A soft ping breaks the moment. A message flashes on his tablet, dinner finished? He types back, yeah. Good night. His father doesn't look up as he leaves the room. Meetings blur into midnight. Ethan passes the wall of family portraits, his mother's gentle smile, his father's confident one, and himself caught between them, mid-limp. He stops under the photo. You'd know what to say, he whispers to the picture. You always did. In the silence that follows, a thought echoes, the one that hurts most: money fixes everything, except missing people. Steam drifts through a cracked door. The spin cycle thumps below like a heartbeat. Amara Johnson sits cross-legged on the floor, polishing the worn wooden practice sword her father once used. The dojo logo, faded gold letters spelling Johnson's martial arts and discipline, still glimmers faintly along the hilt. The small apartment smells of detergent and rice simmering on the stove. On the counter, bills lie fanned out like cards in a losing game. Her mother, Nurse Yvonne, moves between pots, exhaustion heavy in her shoulders. Homework done? Almost, Amara says without looking up. Her tone carries both respect and quiet steel. Yvonne smiles, tired but proud. Your father would have said, finish first, train later. I remember, Amara answers softly. She does remember. The dojo. The steady rhythm of her father's voice counting through stanzas. The day everything changed. Flashback, dojo, day. Sunlight streaks through the blinds, catching dust in golden trails. 9-year-old Amara stumbles through a kick, frustration breaking across her face. They called me names again, she blurts, fists clenched. They push me. Why can't I just hit them back? Her father, Master Anthony Johnson, crouches beside her. His GI is frayed, his hands scarred from years of teaching. He taps her fists gently until they open. Because, my little warrior, anyone can hit. Few can hold peace when anger wants control. She frowns. So I just let them win. No. You win by not becoming them. Strength isn't about hurting someone. It's about protecting what deserves to live unbroken. He presses 2 fingers to her heart. Here. That's where victory starts. Back to present. Amara opens her eyes. The dojo closed after her father's heart attack. The mats are gone. The sign hangs crooked in the basement, waiting for the day she can reopen it. She ties her shoes, cheap, worn thin at the soles, and picks up her schoolbag. The zipper sticks halfway. She forces it closed. A soft smile touches her lips when she hears her mother's voice from the kitchen. "You'll be late, Amara." "I'm never late, Mom." Outside, streetlights flicker over graffiti walls. The city hums with noise, sirens, arguments, traffic, but she walks through it steady, centered, breathing in rhythm. In. Out. Observe. Respond. At the bus stop, a group of teenagers shove past her, laughing. She steps aside, eyes lowered, neither provoked nor submissive, just aware. A poster on the bus shelter catches her attention, Crestwood Academy, where excellence is a legacy. Her scholarship paper is folded neatly in her pocket. She touches it once for reassurance. Another flash of memory, her father locking the dojo for the last time, his breath heavy but smile warm. When the world forgets kindness, remember your code. Never fight for ego. Protect the weak. The bus hisses to a stop. She boards, takes the last seat, and watches the city slide by through scratched glass. In the reflection, she sees both herself and her father's ghost overlaid, a reminder and a promise. As the bus climbs the hill toward Crestwood's iron gates, the narration blends both stories. Two children. One wrapped in wealth, starved of warmth. One wrapped in struggle, armored by love. Both unseen by the world that judged them. Both about to collide in a single moment neither asked for. The shot lingers on Amara's calm face framed against the sunrise. Then, a cut to Ethan's reflection in the penthouse window, city lights glittering beneath him like unreachable stars. Their worlds couldn't be further apart. But destiny has a way of erasing distance when the lesson is ready to begin. The gates of Crestwood rise like iron arms, gilded letters arching above them, excellence is a legacy. Behind those words hides an unspoken one, inheritance. Luxury cars glide up the driveway, engines purring like well-fed animals. Chauffeurs step out, doors open in sequence, and students spill into sunlight wearing blazers embroidered with the gold crest of privilege. Their laughter is soft, polished, perfectly confident. Each stride announces certainty, certainty of belonging. A black sedan pulls up next. Richard Whitmore steps out in a tailored suit, his son Ethan following carefully behind him. The boy's metal leg brace gleams in the morning light. Richard adjusts his tie, glancing at his watch. "You'll be fine. Just focus on your classes, okay?" "Yes, sir." He nods, already distracted by the vibrating phone in his hand. "Dad? I'll call you after my meeting." He doesn't look up. The car door shuts, muffling the sound of Ethan's sigh. Around him, conversations bubble, vacations, gadgets, new sneakers. Not one word includes him. The morning bell rings. The crowd splits like oil around water, flowing smoothly past him without a glance. A group of boys, Jason Miller, Connor, and Bryce, share a smirk. "Heard the Whitmore jet's bigger than the science building," Jason says. "Yeah, too bad he can't climb the stairs to see it," Connor adds, and laughter ripples. Ethan keeps walking. He's learned that silence draws less blood than words. The classroom gleams like a tech exhibit. Smart boards hum, rows of desks aligned with military precision. The teacher, Mr. Carver, adjusts his tie and begins a lecture on ethics and society. "Today," he says, "we'll discuss equality of opportunity." A small irony vibrates through the room. Most students' parents own the opportunities being discussed. Amara sits near the back, notebook open, pen poised. Her scholarship uniform is the same design as everyone else's, but the difference is obvious. Her blazer's secondhand, the hem slightly frayed, the white collar too big. Jason's whisper slices through the teacher's words. "Hey, new girl. That thrift store sale still going?" A few chuckles follow. Mr. Carver pauses mid-sentence, glances toward them, then clears his throat and continues the lecture. No reprimand. No acknowledgement. Just polite avoidance. Amara's jaw tightens. She writes in her notebook without looking up, her handwriting controlled, calm. But her pen digs into the paper hard enough to nearly tear it. Ethan watches from across the room. He knows that silence too well, the kind that teachers mistake for peace. Between classes, Crestwood feels like a museum of quiet arrogance. Polished trophies line the glass cases, generations of champions whose names are engraved in gold. Amara's reflection overlays them briefly as she walks by. Students pass her with quick, assessing glances. Some smile, but the kind of smile that says you don't belong here, but will tolerate you. A group of girls at the lockers whisper. She's the scholarship one, right? Yeah. I heard her mom's a janitor or something. Nurse, another corrects. But same thing, isn't it? They laugh, turning away before she can meet their eyes. She keeps walking, steady and measured. Jason and his friends hold court at the center table, all swagger and loud jokes. Ethan sits 2 tables away, quietly unpacking his lunch, trying not to be noticed. Amara, alone again, chooses the far corner under the shade of a tree. From there, she can see the entire courtyard, who looks away, who pretends not to see. It's a map of hierarchy, drawn not by grades or kindness, but by names and bank accounts. Jason leans back in his chair, laughing too loudly. Man, Crestwood's slipping. Used to be elite. Now it's a charity project. Ethan flinches slightly. Amara glances up just long enough to meet Jason's eyes. 1 second. Unflinching. He looks away first. The camera pulls back slowly, showing the whole system breathing together, laughter, cruelty, indifference. Teachers passing, pretending not to hear. Students scrolling, liking, reposting. No villains, just a culture that rewards comfort and punishes difference. The narrator's voice cuts in, quiet, heavy with truth. At Crestwood, cruelty isn't born, it's inherited. Taught in silence. Perfected in laughter. And everyone learns the same lesson. That the loudest are safe. And the quiet must earn their right to exist. The bell rings again. The crowd moves. No one notices how close the tension already is to breaking. The cafeteria hums with lunchtime chaos, chatter layered over music, trays clattering, laughter echoing off marble. Every table is full except one, Ethan Whitmore's. He sits alone, cutting his sandwich into tiny squares, trying to look busy. His crutch rests against the table beside him, gleaming under the overhead lights. Every few minutes, he glances toward the exit, counting the minutes until freedom. Jason Miller and his crew occupy the center table like kings of their small world. Laughter rolls from them like smoke, drawing attention wherever it lands. Connor scrolls on his phone, smirking. You see that meme I posted? Got 80 likes in 10 minutes. 80. Weak, Jason replies, grinning. I'll top that before lunch ends. His eyes drift toward Ethan, alone, quiet, small. A thought sparks. The kind that isn't kind. Jason stands, tray in hand, swaggering with the ease of someone who knows the crowd will watch whatever he does. Hey, Connor. Think our boy Whitmore eats diamonds for lunch? Laughter follows like a trained echo. Jason walks over, setting his tray on Ethan's table without asking. The sound, a dull clack, draws heads from every corner. Mind if I borrow a seat, moneybags? Ethan looks up, wary. I'm just eating. Oh, I can see that, Jason says, leaning down. Real fancy meal for a billionaire's son. What's that, store-brand peanut butter? More laughter. A phone camera rises. Someone whispers, record this. Jason's grin widens. He slides Ethan's tray aside with 2 fingers, spilling a few chips onto the floor. The sound makes Ethan flinch. Jason catches it, and enjoys it. "Oops," Jason says mock-sincerely. "My bad. Guess that's what happens when you don't have servants." He sits down, feet up on the bench. Connor joins in. Bryce pretends to film. The cafeteria's noise dims, conversation folding into curious silence. Amara, at her usual corner, looks up. Her expression is unreadable. Calm. Watching. Jason taps Ethan's leg brace with his fork. Ting. Ting. Does that thing beep when you're near poor people? Laughter. Phone cameras click. Stop, Ethan mutters, voice barely audible. Jason leans closer. What's that? Speak up, rich boy. I said stop. Jason smirks. Or what? You'll sue me. The crowd shifts, students now circling, drawn to drama like moths. Someone chants quietly, fight, fight. The chant spreads, building rhythm. Fight. 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 Ethan's chest tightens. He pushes his tray back. Jason grabs it midair and flips it. Crash. Food splatters across Ethan's shirt, chips scatter across the floor, milk splashes onto his sneakers. Gasps. Phones up. Red lights blinking. Jason steps back, mock horror on his face. Oh no, did I spill on your designer shirt? My apologies, sir. Ethan rises halfway, hand reaching for his crutch, but Jason's faster. He snatches it again and twirls it overhead like a sword. Maybe I should keep this. Looks custom-made. Bet it costs more than my dad's car. The cafeteria roars. The chant grows. Fight. 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 The rhythm hits the walls, bouncing back stronger. Ethan's face flushes. He feels heat climb up his neck, the sting behind his eyes. His knee trembles without the brace's support. The room tilts. Laughter feels like thunder. He stumbles, grabbing the edge of the table for balance. Jason circles him like a predator, holding the crutch high. Come on, Whitmore. Show us that billionaire courage. A phone flashes. The camera catches everything, the tear in Ethan's eye, the defiance in his shaking jaw. He looks at Jason and whispers, voice cracking, please, give it back. Jason pauses, the briefest flicker of hesitation, then laughs harder. Oh, you asked nicely. That's cute. He holds the crutch horizontally, pretending it's a cane. Well, look at me. I'm rich and fragile. The crowd howls. The laughter no longer sounds human, it's a wall of noise. From her corner, Amara sets her fork down. The sound, a soft clink, cuts through the chaos in her own ears. Her gaze sharpens, steady as a drawn line. She watches Ethan's balance falter, his hand reaching for something invisible, pride collapsing faster than his stance. Jason steps closer, the crutch now a prop in his performance. Guess money can't buy coordination, huh? Ethan's leg gives slightly. A few students gasp. He steadies himself, barely. The humiliation completes itself, full circle. Jason basks in it. Connor films every second. The chant peaks, fight. 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 Until the words blur into noise. Then, a subtle shift. Amara rises. The sound around her fades, replaced by the soft scrape of her chair, the slow rhythm of her breath. The camera pans from Ethan's trembling hand to her calm one, from Jason's laughter to her still face. 1 step. 2. 3. No sound but her footsteps now. The crowd senses something, a quiet that feels dangerous. Phones tilt toward her, curiosity rippling through confusion. Jason hasn't noticed yet. He's still laughing, still holding the crutch like a prize. But the spell is breaking. Something in the room has shifted, a gravity pulling attention toward the girl who hasn't said a word. The chant falters. The laughter thins. Ethan blinks through tears, his gaze lifting just enough to see her silhouette cutting through the crowd, small, steady, unstoppable. Amara's shadow touches the edge of his table. Jason finally turns, half-smirk frozen on his face. Oh, look who decided to play hero, Charity Girl herself. But she doesn't answer. She just keeps walking. And for the first time, the cafeteria goes completely silent. The silence is heavy, unnatural. The cafeteria that just moments ago was roaring with laughter now feels like the pause between lightning and thunder. Amara walks forward slowly, every step echoing against the marble floor. Her eyes are fixed, not on Jason's face, but on the crutch he's holding like a trophy. Each stride is calm, balanced, measured. She doesn't flinch when whispers ripple through the crowd. What's she doing? Oh no, she's gonna get in trouble. Who even is she? Jason straightens, grin half uncertain. Yo, Charity Girl, stay out of this. We're just having fun. Amara says nothing. She stops 3 feet away from him. Her silence stretches, thick enough to make the air vibrate. Jason raises his chin, forcing a smirk. You deaf or something? Didn't you hear me? No response. She bends slightly, not to fight, not to grab, but to pick up Ethan's lunch tray from the floor. Food and milk drip onto her hands, cold and sticky. She sets the tray gently back on the table, wipes it clean with a napkin, and places Ethan's sandwich back on top. The act is so small, so deliberate, it breaks the crowd's rhythm more effectively than any shout could have. Ethan stares at her, eyes wide. Jason laughs nervously. Ah, look at that. Maid service included. Amara still doesn't speak. She just looks up at him, steady, expressionless. For a full 5 seconds, their eyes lock. Jason's grin falters. The air hums. Something about her stillness is disarming, unnerving. She's not scared, not angry. Just, present. The crowd starts to shift, whispers dying, phones lowering. No one knows why, but suddenly, mocking her doesn't feel safe. Jason waves the crutch lazily. You want this, huh? No reply. Amara slowly extends her hand. Not pleading, inviting. A single motion. Simple. Controlled. The crowd holds its breath. Jason hesitates. His confidence flickers. The silence presses harder. The energy he fed on, gone. He looks around for approval, but all eyes are on her. For the first time, he's not leading the scene. Ethan whispers softly, please, just stop. Amara doesn't turn. She stays between them, still, grounded. Jason lowers the crutch a few inches, mock surrender. Fine. Take it, then. He moves to hand it over, but there's mockery in his motion, too fast, too forceful. The metal tilts. The room braces for impact. In one smooth movement, Amara catches the crutch midair. Her grip is precise, calm, like she's catching time itself before it hits the floor. Not a single clatter. Not a wasted breath. The crowd exhales collectively. Jason takes a half step back without meaning to. Amara turns to Ethan and holds out the crutch, eyes soft now. Ethan takes it with shaking hands. Thank you, he whispers. Still no words from her. Just a nod. She turns back toward Jason. For the briefest moment, he can't look her in the eye. The cafeteria is frozen, hundreds of students realizing they've just witnessed a shift they can't explain. And then, the spell breaks. A chair squeaks. Someone exhales too loudly. But it's too late. The power in the room has changed hands. Calm now equals control. For a moment, no one moves. Jason stands there, chest heaving, still gripping onto the last pieces of his pride. Around him, the crowd holds its breath, waiting for the show to resume, only this time, they're not laughing. They're watching. Amara sets the crutch in Ethan's hands. Her movements are quiet, careful, deliberate, the way someone handles glass. Then she turns back to Jason. Her voice could have filled the silence, but she chooses not to use it. Instead, she simply straightens her posture, chin slightly lifted, her stance balanced, the kind of balance that isn't learned from books. It's trained. Earned. Inherited. Jason feels it. Something unfamiliar, discomfort. He masks it with bravado. You think that was brave, huh? Picking up trash for the cripple kid? The word cuts through the air like static. Gasps ripple across the cafeteria. Ethan looks down, shame and anger colliding in his small frame. Amara's eyes narrow, not with rage, but with focus. Jason takes a step closer. You gonna cry too, charity girl? Or you gonna? He reaches out, grabs her shoulder, and that's when the energy shifts. A single motion. Amara pivots. Not hard, not fast, just right. His wrist slides past her center line, momentum redirected. His own body betrays him. Jason stumbles forward, off balance, the tray he was holding crashing to the floor beside him. The sound rings, a perfect echo of the one that started it all. He looks up, startled. Amara doesn't move. She doesn't gloat. Her hands are lowered. Her expression, calm, almost disappointed. The crowd gasps again. Phones rise, cameras rolling, but now the lens is on her. Jason scrambles to his feet, fury flashing red across his face. You dare touch me? He lunges. Amara steps sideways, letting his momentum carry him past her. A pivot. A hand on his elbow. A shift in weight. He's on the ground before he realizes what happened. The move is fluid, graceful, efficient, without aggression. No wasted effort, no malice. The embodiment of control. Ethan's eyes widen. The crowd murmurs. Someone whispers, she didn't even hit him. Jason groans, pushing himself up, more embarrassed than hurt. His friends, Connor and Bryce, look unsure now. The room has turned. You're dead, Jason spits, rushing again. This time, he swings, wild, clumsy. Amara leans back, his fist slicing air. She sidesteps, sweeps his leg lightly, and he collapses again, crashing onto his tray with a loud clang. The cafeteria bursts into stunned silence, then half-hearted laughter from those too shocked to process it. Amara doesn't smile. She doesn't look triumphant. She simply breathes. Her father's voice plays in her mind, soft but firm. Every motion must mean something. Anger wastes energy. Discipline turns it into strength. She glances at Ethan, makes sure he's steady. He nods weakly, awe in his eyes. Jason slams a hand on the floor, red-faced. You think you're better than me? Amara tilts her head slightly. Not superiority. Pity. That expression hurts him more than the fall did. He grabs a nearby carton of milk and hurls it toward her. She lifts her arm, not to block, but to redirect. The carton bursts midair, splattering harmlessly onto the floor beside her. The entire cafeteria watches in stunned, almost reverent silence. Amara's breathing is steady. Jason's is ragged. He charges again, shouting incoherently. 3 seconds later, he's on his knees, arm twisted but unharmed, Amara behind him, controlling his motion with a single grip and a shift of weight. Her tone when she finally speaks is low, soft enough that only those nearest can hear. Enough. The word lands heavier than a shout. Jason freezes. His breathing slows. He nods, once, twice, then lets her go. Amara releases him gently. He stays kneeling, unsure what to do next. The audience of phones and whispers doesn't cheer, they're too stunned to. Amara steps back. Her expression stays calm, eyes steady. She looks at Jason, not with anger, but with quiet expectation. And for the first time, he can't meet her gaze. She turns to Ethan. "You okay?" she asks softly. He nods, voice trembling. Yeah, I think so." She nods once more, satisfied, then looks around the room. Her eyes sweep over the faces of everyone recording, a silent challenge. What are you capturing? Justice, or entertainment? One by one, phones lower. The chant never restarts. The laughter dies. Jason stands slowly, humiliated but unhurt. His voice is gone. Ethan, still shaky, leans on his crutch. Amara stays beside him, not guarding, but grounding the space. The narrator's voice returns, low, reverent, like truth being spoken aloud. This wasn't a fight. This was a reminder. That real strength isn't noise or force, it's restraint. It's knowing you can win without needing to hurt anyone. The room holds its breath as Amara helps Ethan stand tall. Then, the bell rings, abrupt, loud, almost disrespectful against the calm she's created. Students scatter. Teachers rush in too late, confused by the silence. But the story has already changed hands. Power no longer belongs to the loudest voice. It belongs to the quietest one who stood her ground. The cafeteria remains frozen, the kind of silence that feels sacred, not awkward. Jason stumbles back into his seat, face flushed, pride cracked. Phones are down now. Some students look ashamed, others simply stunned. Amara stands motionless for a moment, eyes on the spilled milk dripping from the edge of a table. The white streak traces a slow path to the floor, one drop, then another. Her breathing evens out. Her eyes soften. And somewhere between those breaths, memory takes her. Flashback, int. Johnson Dojo, years earlier. Wooden floors. Afternoon light slicing through blinds. A younger Amara, maybe 7 or 8, stands in the center of the mat, crying. Her knuckles are red from punching the air too hard. Her father, Anthony Johnson, kneels in front of her. His GI is faded, sleeves rolled. His hands are scarred, but gentle. "They laughed at me, Daddy," she says, voice breaking. "They pushed me. They called you poor sensei." She sniffles, looking away. "I wanted to make them stop. I almost hit one." Anthony studies her face, not angry, just quiet. Then he reaches out and wipes her tears with his thumb. "Almost hit one," he repeats softly. "But you didn't." She shakes her head. "Because you told me not to fight." He smiles. "No. I told you not to fight for ego." He lifts her small hand and places it over her heart. "This is your weapon," he says. "Not these." He touches her fists gently. "Anyone can throw a punch, Amara. But not everyone can stand still when everything inside them wants to strike back." She looks up at him through tears. "But that's hard." "Yes," he says with a soft laugh. "That's why most people lose to themselves before they even start." He picks up a wooden bak-ken, practice sword, from the floor and places it in her hands. "Remember, my little warrior, strength is not about showing power. It's about choosing peace, even when you could win by hurting." He presses 2 fingers to her forehead. "Control here. Then to her chest. And peace here. When you master both, no one can break you." Back to present, cafeteria. Amara blinks, the flash of memory fading. She sees her reflection faintly in the spilled milk on the floor, not the frightened girl anymore, but the one her father taught her to become. Jason sits at his table, silent now. Ethan steadies himself beside her. The crowd has no idea what to do with the quiet. Amara exhales slowly, the same rhythm her father drilled into her. In. Out. Still. The narrator's voice floats in again, gentle but resonant. Discipline doesn't come from rules. It comes from loss. From watching someone you love teach peace, and realizing the only way to honor them, is to live it. Amara glances upward, eyes glistening but dry. Her father's words echo one more time, soft but sure. Protect the weak, Amara. Even if the weak one, is you. She nods faintly, a private salute to the man who gave her her code. And with that, she turns back to Ethan, offering a small smile. Come on, she says quietly. Let's clean this up. The scene fades out on their hands, small, steady, cleaning the same table that had just witnessed humiliation. One act of kindness restoring what cruelty broke. The tension in the cafeteria slowly dissolves, like fog lifting after rain. The noise doesn't return right away, it dares not. Ethan stands beside the table, his chest rising and falling unevenly. The red mark of humiliation still burns in his cheeks, but something in his eyes has changed. They no longer hold fear, just awe. Amara kneels, picking up the last of the spilled food with napkins. Each motion is calm, methodical, unhurried. Around them, students exchange glances, whispers muted by guilt. No one laughs anymore. Jason sits slumped at the next table, his anger hollow now, his arrogance stripped bare. For the first time, he's the one being watched, not as the leader of the pack, but as the example of what not to become. A single napkin slips from Amara's hand. Ethan reaches down to grab it first, their fingers brushing. She looks up, and for the first time, he smiles, a small, trembling smile that belongs to someone who just remembered what courage looks like. Thank you, he whispers. Amara shakes her head slightly. You don't have to thank me. She wipes the last bit of spilled milk, wrings out the napkin, and stands. Her hand brushes against Ethan's crutch, the same one that had been turned into a weapon of mockery minutes ago. She picks it up carefully, like something sacred, and holds it upright between them. Then, gently, she places it in his hand. Stand tall, she says softly. The phrase lands like a heartbeat. Simple. True. Unforgettable. Ethan grips the crutch, steadying himself. His posture straightens. The crowd watches, transfixed, a boy who minutes ago was trembling now standing with the quiet strength of someone who just learned what dignity feels like. Amara steps back, giving him space. Ethan takes a small step forward, his leg brace gleaming under the cafeteria lights. He doesn't hide it this time. He lets it shine. Jason looks away, unable to hold the sight. The camera pans slowly, over Amara's calm face, Ethan's small but steady frame, the rows of watching students, their expressions transformed from spectators to witnesses. The narrator's voice cuts in, soft, almost like a whisper from memory. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do for someone, is remind them they were never broken. The room feels different now, lighter, quieter, cleaner. Even the air itself seems to pause in reverence. Amara turns, grabs her bag, and heads toward the exit without waiting for applause. Ethan watches her go, not as a savior, but as someone who taught him something words never could. And as she walks away, the crowd parts for her, not out of fear, but respect. The moment is complete. Dignity restored. Lesson delivered. The camera lingers one last time on Ethan, standing tall beside the table, whispering the words to himself like a promise. Stand tall. The cafeteria doors burst open with a sharp metallic clang. Vice Principal Owens, a tall woman with clipped authority in her voice, storms in, heels striking the floor like punctuation marks. Behind her, two teachers follow, faces tight with urgency. The silence breaks into hurried murmurs. Owens scans the scene, overturned trays, spilled milk, and a crowd of students frozen mid-breath. Her eyes lock immediately on Amara. "You," she says sharply. "Step away from him." Amara turns, calm but alert. Ethan tries to speak, but his voice catches. Owens doesn't wait. She strides forward, every step echoing judgment. "What's your name?" "Amara Johnson," Amara replies quietly. "Miss Johnson," Owens says, folding her arms. "I've just been informed there was violence in this cafeteria. And from what I see, you're at the center of it." The crowd stirs uneasily. Jason looks up, eyes darting. Connor glances at him, then away. No one speaks. "It wasn't her," Ethan says, voice thin but desperate. She was helping me." Owens frowns. "Helping you? With what, exactly?" "Because it looks to me like she's the one standing, and you're the one crying." Gasps ripple. Ethan's mouth opens, closes. Words fail him. Amara steps forward slightly, not defensive, just grounded. "I didn't fight anyone," she says evenly. "I only stopped it." Owens's tone sharpens. "So you admit there was a fight?" Amara doesn't blink. "No, ma'am. There was cruelty. I ended it." The vice principal's eyes narrow. "That's enough, young lady. Pack your things. You're suspended until further notice." The cafeteria erupts, whispers, gasps, disbelief. Phones rise again, not for mockery this time, but outrage. Ethan's eyes widen. "Wait. She didn't do anything wrong." Owens gestures for silence. "This school has zero tolerance for physical altercations. Hero or not, rules are rules." Amara stands still. She doesn't protest, doesn't beg. She simply nods once. "Understood." She reaches for her bag. The strap catches on the chair. Ethan grabs it first, holding it tight. "No," he says. "She saved me. You don't understand, Jason and them were." Owens sighs, pinching her temple. "Enough. You're upset, Ethan. I'll review this later." She turns to the teachers. "Escort her to my office." Two teachers move forward. Amara doesn't resist. Her calm unnerves even them. The crowd parts as she walks, silent again, not shamed this time, but revered. Just before she reaches the door, a voice rings out from the back. "Wait." All heads turn. It's Jasmine Lee, a quiet student from the corner table. Her hands shake slightly, but her phone is raised high. "I recorded everything," she says, louder now. "You should all see it." Owens blinks, thrown off. "Put that away, Miss Lee." "No," Jasmine says, stepping forward. "Everyone needs to see what really happened." She walks to the front, connects her phone to the cafeteria's smart screen. A flicker, then the footage plays. The room fills with its own history. Ethan's crutch being stolen. Jason's mocking. The tray flipping. Amara's quiet intervention. Her stillness. Her restraint. The graceful redirection of every blow. The word, enough. By the time the video ends, the room is silent again, but not out of fear. Out of realization. Owens's jaw tightens. Her tone softens just slightly. "Miss Johnson." Amara looks up, expression unchanged. "You handled yourself with discipline," Owens admits quietly. "I misjudged what happened." Jason lowers his head, face pale. Owens turns toward him. "Miller. My office. Now." He nods wordlessly, shoulders sagging. Owens looks back at Amara. You're not in trouble. In fact. She hesitates, almost uncomfortable with her own humility. You taught this school something today. A few students start clapping, hesitant at first, then louder, until the room fills with applause that feels more like gratitude than excitement. Ethan smiles through tears. Amara glances at him, her calm steadying his emotion. The narrator's voice rises softly under the sound. Truth doesn't need to shout. It simply waits. Until someone brave enough presses play. Owen steps back, watching Amara in quiet awe. Ethan walks to her side, crutch in hand. Told you, he says, voice trembling but proud. She didn't fight. She stood tall. Amara gives a small, knowing nod. The applause fades into respectful silence as she and Ethan exit side by side, not as victims or heroes, but as equals walking toward the next chapter. The afternoon bell rings. Students spill from classrooms, phones buzzing in their hands. A murmur spreads like static, whispers at first, then excitement building. Did you see it? It's on every feed. That girl, what was her name again? On the screens. Amara's calm face. Ethan's trembling hands. Jason's arrogance collapsing into silence. The clip, barely 90 seconds long, races across timelines faster than anyone can track. No edits, no music, no captions. Just raw, quiet truth. Hashtag stand tall. Hashtag discipline over arrogance. Hashtag the girl who didn't fight back. The hashtags explode overnight. City lights burn outside like constellations. Inside, billionaire Richard Whitmore sits behind a mahogany desk, phone vibrating non-stop. Assistants hover near the door. Sir, you need to see this, one says. He looks up from his reports. If it's another merger proposal. It's not. She sets the phone down. The screen glows. A paused video thumbnail, a little girl handing a crutch back to a trembling boy. Richard presses play. The sound of laughter. Then the silence. Then the word, enough. And finally, stand tall. He watches the clip twice, then a third time. The second replay, his breathing slows. The third, his throat tightens. The comments scroll faster than he can read. This broke me. That girl deserves the world. If this doesn't restore your faith in humanity, nothing will. For the first time in a long time, Richard isn't thinking about numbers. He's thinking about his son. Ethan sits on his bed, scrolling through messages. His inbox overflows, classmates, strangers, even news outlets. He doesn't answer any of them. Instead, he replays the video in silence. Every time he hears Amara say stand tall, he sits up a little straighter. He touches his brace, no longer ashamed of it. His father's reflection appears in the doorway. Ethan. The boy looks up, startled. I saw, Richard says quietly. That girl, she's incredible. Ethan nods. She didn't care who I was. She just helped. Richard looks down, guilt flickering across his face. She showed me something too. He sits beside his son for the first time in months, placing a hand on his shoulder. You make me proud, you know that? Ethan smiles faintly. She did most of it. Montage, the world reacts. News anchors replay the video under the headline, Silence Ends Cruelty, the girl who changed a school. Students from other schools share clips reenacting the stand tall moment. A local newspaper publishes an op-ed titled, When Discipline Defeats Violence. Celebrities repost it with captions like, This hit harder than any speech. Amara doesn't post a thing. Her phone buzzes on her nightstand while she studies, the screen lighting her calm face as she flips a page in her notebook. The narrator's voice fades in softly over the global montage. In an age where shouting wins attention, One girl taught the world that silence, when anchored in truth, can echo louder than any noise. The clip loops again, viral across continents. A quiet moment turned movement. A lesson the world didn't know it needed. The city hums beneath the glass tower, 1,000 lives moving, unaware of the quiet storm unfolding inside. Richard Whitmore stands alone in his office, the glow of the viral video frozen on the large screen behind his desk. He hasn't moved in minutes. The video has replayed so many times that he knows every sound by heart. The crash of the tray, the laughter, the silence, and then that one line. Stand tall. He presses pause. The still frame lingers, Amara's small hand holding out the crutch to his son. It looks like a painting, something sacred. Richard sinks into his leather chair, elbows on his knees. His reflection stares back from the window, a man who's conquered markets, not moments. His phone vibrates, another news alert. Billionaire's son saved by brave classmate. Amara Johnson's act of courage inspires millions. He swipes them away. None of them mention him. They shouldn't. He looks at a framed photo on the desk, his late wife, Clara, smiling beside a much younger Ethan. Her eyes, soft and kind, seem to look right through him. You'd have known what to say to her, he whispers. To both of them. Silence answers. Then, from the hallway, a voice. Dad? Ethan stands at the doorway, pajamas slightly wrinkled, crutch steady in hand. Richard straightens. Hey, bud. Couldn't sleep? Ethan shakes his head. Everyone's been messaging me. I didn't know people could care this much. Richard forces a smile. People care because what she did was pure. Ethan nods slowly. She didn't fight, Dad. She just stopped everything. The boy's eyes glow with something between admiration and understanding. Richard's throat tightens. I saw that, he says quietly. And I realized something. He pauses, searching for words he's never had to use before. I've been busy building everything, except the part of me you needed most. Ethan tilts his head. You mean, being here? Richard nods. Exactly that. For a long moment, neither speaks. Then Richard leans forward. I want to meet her. Amara. Ethan's face lights up. You really mean it? I do. Tomorrow. Morning sunlight paints the courtyard gold. Students whisper and stare as a black car glides through the gates. The Whitmore logo on the license plate gleams like a crown. Richard steps out in a simple gray suit, no entourage, no assistant, no bodyguards. Just a father. The school principal greets him nervously. Mr. Whitmore, I didn't expect. I'm not here as a sponsor, Richard interrupts gently. Just as a parent. He spots Amara near the steps, tying her shoelace, unaware of the commotion. Ethan stands beside her, chatting easily. They laugh, the kind of laughter untouched by status. Richard walks over. Students part silently. Amara looks up, surprised. Mr. Whitmore, she says softly. He stops in front of her, awkward for the first time in years. You're Amara Johnson. She nods once. Yes, sir. He takes a deep breath. I've watched that video 100 times. I came here to say, thank you. Amara looks down. You don't have to. I do, he insists. You didn't just help my son. You reminded him what courage looks like. And he swallows hard. You reminded me what kind of father I want to be. For a long moment, the air between them holds quiet weight. Amara's composure stays steady, but her eyes soften. You don't have to be perfect, sir, she says gently. Just present. The words hit him deeper than any speech he's ever heard in a boardroom. He nods slowly. That's exactly what my wife used to say. Ethan smiles up at her. Dad watched the video all night, he says. Richard laughs quietly. He's right. It humbled me more than any headline ever could. A group of students gather nearby, recording discreetly, but this time, not to shame, only to remember. Richard crouches slightly so he's at eye level with Amara. If there's anything I can ever do for you, school, dojo, anything, just say the word. Amara hesitates. My dad used to run a martial arts school before he passed. It's been closed for years. Richard nods immediately. Then let's reopen it. In his name. Not as charity, as partnership. Amara blinks, caught off guard. You'd really do that? After what you did for my son? He smiles. I'd be honored. Ethan beams. The courtyard fills with the quiet hum of whispers, admiration, respect, inspiration. The narrator's voice enters softly, the tone reflective, warm. Sometimes it takes the smallest voice to teach power how to listen. Sometimes humility doesn't start in a boardroom, it starts in a cafeteria. Richard looks at Amara, then at Ethan, two children who changed him without trying. You know, he says, almost to himself, I thought I built an empire. But this is what legacy looks like. The three stand together, the billionaire, the boy, and the girl who reminded them what strength really means. The camera pans upward, the sunlight washing over them, soft and golden. A week later. The air in the Crestwood auditorium buzzes with anticipation. Every seat is filled, students, teachers, parents, and reporters. A banner stretches across the stage. Character assembly, lessons in courage and compassion. For once, it's not about awards or test scores. It's about what the whole school has been whispering about for days, Amara Johnson. The principal stands at the podium, voice steady but proud. In all my years at Crestwood, I've never witnessed a moment that so powerfully reminded us of what this school should stand for, empathy, courage, and discipline. Applause ripples through the hall. Amara sits in the front row, uncomfortable with the attention, her hands folded neatly in her lap. Ethan sits beside her, leg brace gleaming under the lights, his crutch resting upright between them. Behind them, Jason Miller shifts nervously in his chair. His friends, Connor and Bryce, sit close, avoiding eye contact. The principal continues. Before we recognize Amara's example, there are others who wish to speak first. Jason looks up, face pale. The principal nods toward him. Mr. Miller. The room falls silent. Jason stands slowly, the sound of his sneakers against the stage floor echoing like confession. He looks out at hundreds of faces, the same faces that once cheered his cruelty. He takes a shaky breath. I don't really know how to start, he says quietly. I messed up. No one moves. What I did wasn't funny. It wasn't harmless. It was cruel. He glances toward Ethan. You didn't deserve that. Then toward Amara. And you showed me what strength actually looks like. He pauses, swallowing hard. You could have hit me. I deserved it. But you didn't. You just stopped me. And I've been thinking about that ever since. Connor clears his throat, stepping up beside him. We all have, he says. We followed the wrong kind of leader. We're sorry. A murmur sweeps the room, surprise, relief, forgiveness. Amara watches them, her face calm, unreadable. When Jason finishes, she stands. The principal gestures for her to join them. She walks onto the stage, movements deliberate, presence quiet but commanding. Jason looks at her, eyes wet. I don't expect you to forgive me, he says. But I needed to say it. Amara studies him for a long moment. Then she speaks, voice clear, soft, and strong. Apologies matter, she says. But change matters more. The words land heavy, true. She turns slightly, addressing the whole auditorium. We can't undo what happened. But we can decide what we do next. How we treat people who are different. How we step in when someone's being hurt. Even how we use our silence. She looks back at Jason. If you really mean what you said, help someone else stand tall. Jason nods, tears threatening to spill. I will, he whispers. The crowd begins to applaud, slowly at first, then thunderous, filling the room with something bigger than applause, respect. Ethan stands too, steady on his crutch. He faces Jason, extends his hand. For a heartbeat, no one breathes. Then Jason takes it. The auditorium erupts, not with cheers, but with emotion. Teachers wipe their eyes. Students exchange glances that mean maybe we can be better too. The narrator's voice fades in softly over the noise. Justice isn't revenge. It's restoration. It's what happens when humility kneels and grace reaches down to lift it. The applause continues long after the handshake ends. Amara steps back beside Ethan, their silhouettes framed in the warm light pouring through the auditorium windows. The camera pulls wide, from faces in tears to the banner above. Character assembly, courage. Compassion. Change. And beneath it, the truth unspoken but understood. Kindness won. The applause fades into a softer rhythm, not noise, but gratitude. Teachers embrace. Students whisper words like respect, change, finally. Amara looks out over the crowd, the gold school banner fluttering above her like light through stained glass. Ethan stands a little taller beside her, hand resting lightly on his crutch. He glances up at her, smiling. You did it, he whispers. She shakes her head, smiling back. We did it. The principal wipes her eyes discreetly and steps to the microphone. Before we close, I think it's only right we remember that courage isn't about power, it's about compassion. She looks to Amara. You reminded us of that. Thank you. The students rise, not the quick, forced kind of standing ovation, but the quiet, collective kind that says we understand now. The camera sweeps across faces, bullies, bystanders, teachers, even janitors, all standing. Amara exhales slowly. The noise of clapping fades behind a soft score of piano and strings. For a moment, it feels like time itself pauses to honor this truth. One act of kindness changed a world. A bright morning. The once abandoned Johnson Martial Arts Dojo has reopened, the front door repainted, the faded gold letters restored. A new sign hangs above it. Johnson Dojo of Discipline and Courage, reopened in partnership with Whitmore Foundation. Inside, children laugh as they practice basic stances. Amara, now in a clean white GI, moves among them with calm instruction, echoing her father's teachings. Remember, control first, peace always. At the back of the room, Richard Whitmore watches quietly. Ethan stands beside him, now volunteering as a mentor, his crutch resting proudly by the wall. You rebuilt this place, Richard says softly. No, Amara replies with a small smile. We just made space for kindness again. He nods, humbled. You've changed more lives than you know, Amara. She glances at Ethan, who's helping a younger boy with his balance. So did he. The camera lingers, the billionaire, the boy, the girl, 3 lives tied together not by money or fame, but by shared humanity. A morning talk show plays the clip again. The host wipes tears, saying, This story reminds us that discipline and love are not opposites, they're allies. A teacher in another state shows the video to her students. They sit silent, moved. The hashtags live on, #StandTall and #SilenceEndsCruelty. The dojo's sign-in sheet grows longer each week. Kids from every background join. Some wear uniforms patched from thrift stores. Others come straight from expensive homes. On the mat, they're all equal. The day ends. The kids leave one by one, bowing respectfully. Amara sweeps the floor, a ritual of gratitude more than duty. Ethan stands by the door, watching the sunset paint gold lines across the tatami. "You ever miss your dad?" he asks quietly. She smiles, the kind of smile that carries both ache and peace. "Every day. But I think he'd be happy now." Ethan nods. "He'd be proud." She leans on her broom, looking out at the last beam of sunlight. "He taught me to protect the weak," she says softly. "But I didn't know it also meant protecting hope." A pause. Then, gently, Ethan says, "You protected both." They share a quiet smile. A slow aerial shot of the city, glowing under the stars. The narrator's voice returns, the same tone as at the beginning, but softer now, complete. "They mocked a boy for his limp. They doubted a girl for her silence. But when arrogance met humility, and cruelty met compassion, the world learned to listen again." The shot lingers on the dojo sign below. Children's laughter echoes faintly in the background. Strength isn't in how hard you hit. It's in how gently you stand your ground. And sometimes, silence is the loudest way to say, enough. The music swells. A soft piano theme reprises as the screen fades to black. Text fades in. If this story moved you, share it. Because courage only wins when kindness refuses to stay silent. #StandTall